what do you think the prospects are for an agreement that will benefit the countries?
Well, as I said this morning, it's not an easy thing, but we got to keep moving with the negotiations and find out new formulas which could be acceptable to all the parties, and especially formulas which will in real term benefit countries like ours. Here I would like to say one thing, and that is that some of the countries like ours have a lot of untapped resources, unexplored resources, unutilized resources, natural resources. For our country, we can say, such as the gas, natural gas, good prospect for oil, limestone, coal, which have remained unexplored or fully developed. So, this way we would be able to foresee our exports and plan our economy.
Mr. President, I'd like to get back to the question about the bombshell that you dropped this morning. The talk in the corridors of the UN and amongst many delegates is that we might see a split here in the group of 77. Are you thinking of trying to take leadership and forming a least developed country bloc to try and move away, a coalition of some sort to deal specifically with your set of problems? And the other question I'd like to ask is, it was hinted by U.S. Ambassador McHenry what the content of your speech would be and that we should watch it closely. Were you consulting with the U.S. government on this, and was there any kind of deal that was struck?
The answer to your first question is that there's nothing like that. This is a thing which have been, I understand, mentioned by others earlier. And we felt that it is better to say it here, and I don't think this has any prospect of splitting the group of 77. And let me tell you, we had no talks with anybody on this count. If anybody said, must have said on their own.
But then how did Ambassador McHenry say with great confidence? He said, I don't want to steal the thunder of President Zia, who will be talking to you a little later, but you should listen to the speech being given by the President of Bangladesh and what he has to say about the energy question and the price of oil. I'm just quoting him.
Well, I think you should ask him to answer this question.
He must have good intelligence.
I'd like to refer to a very interesting magazine article recently, sir, which described you as being the super salesman from Dhaka, taking the message around the world that Bangladesh has a stable government and is emerging as an attractive trading partner for both East and West. Did you see that? And if you didn't, how would you react to that?
Well, I don't know, but during the last 1 or 2 years, I have undertaken trips to really many countries, both in the East and the West. The object, one should have understood that we were colonized for a long period, as a result of which we remain undeveloped, whereas we have tremendous resources. Firstly, the land is so fertile, and in agriculture, our return is so low. As I said a few minutes ago, we have several others, very valuable natural resources which have remained undeveloped, unexplored. For this, we got to talk to people who have the money, who have the technical know-how. And apart from this, being a new country, I had decided to visit as many countries as possible. And I think these visits have really helped us a lot to project Bangladesh in other countries and discuss with those countries' leaders as to how economic cooperation could be built up. And as a result of these visits, our assistance from abroad has increased over the last 2-3 years, and the economy in our country are gradually picking up.
May I come to a related question to this one, which is the one of, shall we say, regional cooperation. One of the problems that we all face in common is, in fact, the oil price, if you like, the balance of payments problem. And it seems to me that the best thing what we possibly do is try and the countries most affected, least developed, most seriously affected, doesn't really matter which, that we should try and buy as much from each other and possibly try for better terms. Now, for instance, all the 4 countries of the subcontinent have an interest in tea, in jute, in leather, and textiles to a large extent. And at the same time, at least one of the countries, which is India, is producing many of the products that you would need, for example, cement or textile machinery, at very, very much lower than world prices. Now, what is anything being done? Are you thinking of something towards regional cooperation, or is it all snagged up on big issues like the Farakka barrage and things like that?
You see, you are aware that a few months ago, Bangladesh proposed a forum on the basis of South Asian countries. And this has been well received by the various countries of South Asia region. And the object is that through this forum, we could do many things which will benefit the region as a whole. And under that forum, trade, commerce, and other bilateral relations, regional matters could be discussed, as in case of other regional forums.
I'd like to pursue a question on the issue of food aid, which is certainly an issue in the United States where this can be seen. There's an awful lot of solid documentation that has come up that perhaps too much food aid is going into Bangladesh, that recently the British government curtailed government-to-government aid because of what they saw as some of the abuses